This is nightmare news for Donald Trump. The American people are waking up, and the American people view Donald Trump's age as a major factor for his inability to even think straight right now. Finally, we're seeing polls that reflect the reality, like this YouGov poll. Is Trump's age affecting his presidency? 57% of respondents say yes. Only 31% of respondents say no.
It's time to speak up. Well, it appears the joke's on me. It appears I have been the biggest fool alive. You see, before the last couple of days, I knew that there was a segment of MAGA who just hated, who just wanted to burn the world down, and they don't care who they hurt. In the meantime, I knew there was that section, but I really thought that most of MAGA just didn't get it. I really thought when he got in there and started doing the things that hurt so many people, that they would realize, and that they would, but they don't care. Y'all have been telling me this for 2 months.
He said he will target and punish those who disagree with him or refuse to bend to his will. He calls these Americans the enemy within, and says that he would use the American military to go after American citizens. Journalists whose stories he doesn't like. Nonpartisan election officials who refuse to cheat by finding a few extra votes for him. Judges who insist on following the law instead of following him. It is for reasons like these that General Mark Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Donald Trump's top general, has called Trump, and I quote, fascist to the core.
I never thought that I would see a day where I would be rooting for a university above Donald J. Trump and his administration. But I don't recognize his administration right now. I don't recognize what's happening. How could Trump be such a free speech enthusiast and allowing these things to happen? Going after college universities, trying to suppress speech, while pretending that you're not suppressing speech, while pretending that you're fighting DEI. It's so messy. It's so obvious. Everyone knows what you're doing. People who are still trying to grift, I suppose, are not willing to challenge you on this, which is ridiculous, because when you are out of office, we are going to have to live with these consequences. Our children are going to have to grow up in this America. Okay? So when you threaten our speech, it's not worth it so that we can have pom-poms and go hurrah for a couple of years, then go, okay, well, yeah, now it kind of stinks because, we're getting arrested for wrongthink.
So many times when you want a person from doing something, but they keep on doing the same thing that you want them, becomes so much diabolical to help them. But at the same time, they become part, or they become a tool of learning. And who are we talking about? We're talking about white Americans who are now coming to realization, and they're admitting that black people were right about Mr. Donald Trump. Of course, some people see him as Mr. Embarrassment. Some people see him as somebody who is losing his mind. Some people see him as somebody who is narcissistic or something like that. But all this culminates down to historical memory or black political insight that is shaped by historical memory. Black people have a relationship with these people, and they know them very well. And so when they warn you not to step on, on the landmine, but you didn't listen because they warned you the landmine is in this place, and you went ahead and step on the landmine. So what happens when you step on a landmine? You try to lift your legs. Boom, you gone, right? So there's a shift from denial to a reluctant knowledge, and this is happening to white Americans because the idea that some white Americans, they're coming out and they're admitting that black Americans are right about Mr. Donald Trump. All these, I can tell you, it shows how a significant part of these people are, shifting their mindset when it comes to political consciousness. Now, from the beginning, many Black communities expressed a deep skepticism towards Trump, and not just based on personality, but on lived historical experience with demagogues, real scapegoating, and authoritarian style leadership. So these early warnings were often dismissed as emotional. They were dismissed as biased or partisan. However, as Trump presidency unfolded, which was marked by chaos, division, and institutional strain, now a growing number of white Americans began to reassess those initial critiques. What was once framed as exaggeration is now, for some, seen as a foresight, which is embedded in realism. So brothers and sisters, let's watch this video. I'll be back, then I'll share my thoughts and reactions to this.
What's up, America? I'm back with a wonderful message. Have you noticed lately that in the first 100 days of Trump's presidency, that no Black people have been blamed for anything? I mean, it's totally amazing. At one point in life, I mean, we were the problem for everything. Lies, murder, torture, I mean, robbing people's neighborhoods, just scaring everybody. And I'm like, look at God. You know what I'm saying? Look at what God has done, okay? He has put these people in positions to be seen, to the very people who worship them. And look at what's happening right now. When you put people like this in charge, when you put hate in charge, when you put people who don't care about anybody but themselves in charge. Because sometimes when people are the opposite color, they can't see it until it's right in front of their face and it's attacking them.
The far right is turning on Donald Trump as he is about to cross their major red line. Now, if you missed it, the federal government and Palantir Technologies are working together to create one central database of Americans' most sensitive information. They're going to collect data from the IRS, from Social Security, the Labor Department, immigration, and put it all together in one spot. And the purpose, they say, is so that they can analyze behavior patterns, flag any threats, and make decisions on public safety. That's the claim. But for the far right, they view this as an interference in our freedom. They think the reason for this is to come after the Second Amendment. They've always said this is something the Democrats would do, and now they see Republicans doing it. And Trump making this deal with Peter Thiel and Palantir Technologies is a huge red line cross for them. And this is just one of many groups that are turning on Republicans, that are turning on Trump, because they were so desperate to try to be the conservative party, but Trump came along and they're completely going against it now.
Folks, if you have read Trump's social media the last 24 hours, I mean, this guy's mouth just stays in gear and his brain is in neutral and it just never clicks out. But this just constant run. And for him to go on his social media and throw a tirade about the 2020 election again, this guy sits around and thinks about shit and say the things that he said. I mean, he acts like we don't have a video and audio of him calling the Secretary of State of Georgia and begging for votes and then threatening him. Like, anybody with a brain knows that he tried to cheat and overthrow an election. Yet he can block that out and act like that's not out there and just go on and on about how Biden cheated and they spied on him and this and that. And it's embarrassing. And then on top of that, you have the Taylor Swift tweet and she's not hot anymore because I said this. Folks, he needs to have a mental evaluation right away. I'm not being funny. Like, the American people deserve better than this. This is absolutely fucking embarrassing for a grown man who's fucking 80 years old to act like this. This is something I would expect from maybe a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old maybe, at the most. There is something fucking seriously wrong with this guy. But he needs to see a psychiatrist, and he needs to see medical professionals, and he needs to be removed from office. We deserve better than this. Like, there's no telling what he said or did. I worry like hell. What did he do in the Middle East? I wonder what kind of deals he made or what he said or what the hell he did. God knows. And he's going to screw us, this country. We will be the one-legged man in the ass-kicking contest. That's what the United States will be after he's done. I'll tell you, man, this is embarrassing.
This is nightmare news for Donald Trump. The American people are waking up, and the American people view Donald Trump's age as a major factor for his inability to even think straight right now. Finally, we're seeing polls that reflect the reality, like this YouGov poll. Is Trump's age affecting his presidency? 57% of respondents say yes. Only 31% of respondents say no. Donald Trump's cognitive abilities, Donald Trump's just deranged behavior, like making posts saying that former President Biden was executed in 2020 and a robotic manifestation of him is currently in existence, and that's the Biden that we see right now. American people are taking notice, which tells me our message is breaking through, and also so much so that the New York Times is actually...
It's been a few days since I lost my job. I posted a few days ago, and I am now thoroughly regretting my vote for Trump. I had no idea that this is where it was going to go, that this is what he was going to do. You see Cheetos up there? Hi, Cheetos. Who's going to feed him? Who's going to buy my cat food? Who's going to buy my kids food? I had an absolutely amazing position where I was able to basically have America count on me. And now that's been taken away. I no longer have faith in the economy. I no longer have faith in Trump. I no longer have faith that we are ever going to find out how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. I no longer have that faith. It's gone. So you can crack all the jokes you want to. You can make fun of us all you want. But I was earning $45 a minute in hopes of figuring out how many licks it took to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. And now the world may never know.
It's time to speak up. Well, it appears the joke's on me. It appears I have been the biggest fool alive. You see, before the last couple of days, I knew that there was a segment of MAGA who just hated, who just wanted to burn the world down, and they don't care who they hurt. In the meantime, I knew there was that section, but I really, really thought that most of MAGA just didn't get it. I really thought they just didn't understand. They didn't understand economics because it's complicated. They hadn't studied Project 2025, so they didn't know what was coming. But I really thought when he got in there and started doing the things that hurt so many people, that they would realize, and that they would. But they don't care. Y'all have been telling me this for 2 months, and I kept saying, no, we just have to explain it to them. We just have. Now, I know there are a few, and I thank you guys. You make it worth sticking with this. But over the last couple of days, I have realized that the majority of Republicans do not care how many people are hurt. And they are exactly what Palpatine said. They're the ones he was talking about when he said he could unalive someone in public and they would still vote for him. I thought they just wanted lower egg prices. I thought they were struggling in the economy and it was hard and they wanted their lives to be easier, and they listened to that. And that's why they voted for him. But they don't care. They literally don't care how many other people in this world are hurt. See, the difference is I'm willing to pay more for my eggs if it means no one in my country goes hungry tonight. I am willing to pay more for my eggs if it means everybody can have an egg. But they really don't care. And I am heartbroken that so many in my country don't care. that so many won't go love their neighbor. But I want to thank those of you who are. You're the ones keeping me going. Go love your neighbor.
I know you told me you voted for President Trump. What were you hoping that he would do?
I was hoping he would did something that made sense regarding the economy, made some kind of progress in bettering, the benefits of being a veteran. But I mean, it just seemed like he actually cared about doing what was best for the country, but now it just feels like all about me, Donald Trump, not, the guy out there working in the trenches trying to make ends meet, trying to pay a mortgage, trying to pay the bills. It goes against everything I expected when, I voted for him.
So you're not satisfied with what you said?
No. And it doesn't even have to do with anything about me getting fired. I mean, if I had gotten fired as part of the, government, cutting government spending, I would have been fine with that. I can accept that. But he's not delivering on anything he said he was going to do. So what's your real game plan? It doesn't make sense to me.
There are some things that he promised to do that he has put in place. I mean, there are executive orders that he's done, that he said that he was going to do. You don't feel like he's lived up to those promises?
I mean, where are the results? I mean, seriously, prices are still going up. We're now in the middle of a tariff war with a bunch of countries that used to be our steadfast allies. I mean, how do you make an enemy of Canada? They're right next to us, and they've been one of our premier allies and commerce partners for, I mean, seriously, like what, centuries now?
And he did say that he was going to put tariffs in place. Did you just not think that they would be implemented in this particular way?
I didn't think they were going to be put in play in a juvenile way. I mean, where was the attempt to actually talk to the heads of these other countries like, hey, I feel you have unfair tariffs against our products. I'd like to talk about it first. And if we can't work out some kind of resolution, then I feel to protect our people, we need to implement this kind of tariff. There was no attempt at even talking to the other countries.
If you are one of the hundreds, thousands, millions of people who voted for Trump in November and you regret your vote, you have remorse, especially after seeing how this administration is inhumanely detaining our migrants and our immigrants here in America. If you are now starting to be impacted by some of these policies that you wanted to see come into fruition when you voted for that man, I want to let you know and make it so abundantly clear that this is not a safe space for you. In fact, I'm about to give you some more information that should make your day even more shitty if it hasn't been shitty already. See, when you walked your little happy racist ass to the ballots and you casted that vote for that orange man, you knew damn well what he was going to do because he campaigned on it. But you was hoping that it wasn't going to affect you. I know that you was hoping that it wasn't going to affect you. And now that it has started affecting you, you want to cry out. You want to cry out. No, suck them tears back in and let me tell you what else is about to be affected due to your vote, okay? So, farms, right? The farmers and the produce, the people who actually pick the produce from out the ground, yeah, they were immigrants. So, yeah, that's going to be impacted. Also, restaurants. You see the waitresses, the line cooks, the people who clean up the spot, who wash the dishes. Yeah, they're usually immigrants. So if your service at the restaurant is exceptionally slow and horrible, if the food doesn't taste the way that it used to before, 9 times out of 10, the person who was doing the job before was an immigrant. Okay, next, manual labor. So construction work, baby. And I'm not just talking construction. I also mean landscape. You know them people that you want to hire to come and cut your grass or clean your pool? Trim your hedges? Yeah. And you know that they got the green thumb. You know that they got the green thumb. So when your grass and your front lawn is all patchy and brown, remember the person that was keeping it green and alive was an immigrant. Okay, next, retail. Y'all be forgetting who be unloading these trucks. Y'all be forgetting. Y'all forget for real. But I'm here to remind you, it was an immigrant. Also in hospitality, oh, you know this. Y'all should have known this. In the hotels, on the cruises, the maid services. Y'all forgot? Y'all forgot who was working them jobs? Yeah, it was an immigrant. Also, child caring services, the nannies. Yeah. Say bye-bye to your little Brad being bilingual, because you helped deport his Mexican, Nicaraguan, Colombian, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Haitian, you helped deport them. You helped that. So round of applause to you. Also remember, before you come out your face and say, at least now jobs are available, these jobs were always available to Americans. Y'all never wanted to fucking do them. Actually, correction. Y'all didn't want to do it for free. Y'all didn't want to do it while being exploited. You didn't want to do it knowing that you were being underpaid and you had no benefits, but you were okay with letting the migrants and the illegal aliens do it. Correction. You don't want to do it for free. You don't want to do it while being exploited. You don't want to do it knowing that you're being underpaid. You don't want to do it knowing that you don't get no benefits. You don't want to do it knowing that you don't get no time off. Correction.
What's up, America? I'm back with a wonderful message. Have you noticed lately that in the first 100 days of Trump's presidency, that no black people have been blamed for anything? I mean, it's totally amazing. At one point in life, I mean, we were the problem for everything. Lies, murder, torture, I mean, robbing people's neighborhoods, just scaring everybody. And I'm like, look at God. You know what I'm saying? Look at what God has done, okay? He has put these people in positions to be seen, to the very people who worship them. And look at what's happening right now. When you put people like this in charge, when you put hate in charge, when you put people who don't care about anybody but themselves in charge. Because sometimes when people are the opposite color, they can't see it until it's right in front of their face and it's attacking them. And I am so grateful and hurt at the same time that they are experiencing what they're experiencing. Because for once in their life, they don't have to blame us. Okay, they can lie and try to push the rhetoric that, oh, it's the left or it's black people and it's diversity, it's LGBTQ. But that's to deal with the frustration that, hey, they made a mistake. I actually fucked up this time. It wasn't any of these things that this man was talking about, but it was him all along. And now I'm so wrapped up into it, I can't even admit that I'm wrong. This is where they're at right now. MAGA is flipping silently. You know, one thing I noticed about MAGA is they don't really talk about they're wrong. They don't really admit it. When you're in a cult, you don't really want to. You know, you're afraid that, something's going to happen to you. There's going to be some sort of retaliation, or people are going to start looking at you funny or sideways. So you don't want to, especially when you're following someone like Trump, who always tells you that you need to be strong, and he psychologically manipulated you and made you think this thing and that thing. It has you all confused in your head. They don't want to admit it, that they made a mistake when they know damn well they did. But the main thing I'm happy about is that they now see that black people all along just wanted what was best for everybody. We ain't want shit for ourselves. We didn't try to hoard shit for ourselves. We ain't try to take up all the wealth and take people's jobs away, take people's welfare away, throw people's kids, attack transgenders and LGBTQ. That was not us. Our face is not attached to any of this stuff. Our face is not attached to defying the Constitution. Our face is not attached to defying the law. Our face is not attached to any of that. It's theirs. And God sees it. We, right here, we still fighting for justice with the power that they gave us. Okay? We looking out for one another right now. You know what I'm saying? But with the power that America has given black people, which is nothing, we're doing our best that we can. Now you understand why it's important not to disenfranchise people, Because yes, black people could have joined you in this fight if our rights were aligned with yours. But no, y'all wanted to strip us of that. Y'all wanted to strip us of our voice. You want to strip us of our power. And we are the only force that you guys have when it comes to upholding justice and discrimination against people, because we're the only people who have faced it for 400 years. So we know how to deal with it. But because y'all want to constantly attack us and make us the enemy and listen to these prejudiced, racist, ignorant, homophobic, white colonizers, this is where you have yourself now. Crashing stock market, prices through the roof, can't feed your family, homelessness through the air, attacking democratic states, causing chaos, allowing our weather service to be attacked, allowing our federal dollars to be filtered through, different illegal means. Just completely wrecking shop in our government. And it ain't us. So y'all can never blame this. The insurrection wasn't us. And this right here wasn't us. There was a bunch of black faces with Joe Biden, a whole bunch of them. But nobody's experiencing the shit that they're experiencing right now. You can't blame it on Joe Biden. Everybody's talking about Joe Biden. He's a white man. They talking about Joe Biden. But he had a whole bunch of black women that was in his cabinet. And neither one of them are mentioned, besides Kamala Harris. That's the only one that they're mentioning, because she was the front runner who was trying to run for president. So they just going to try to discredit her as promiscuous black woman, like they do every black woman that's in America. They just want to sexualize them and call them, ignorant, and that they didn't get their positions but through sex. That's just what they do here, because they're ignorant and they're retarded and stupid. So, yeah. But aren't y'all happy that the face that is doing this destruction is not us? Aren't you happy that in the history books, they won't see black people raging out doing what they're doing right now to their own country? Well, I can't say their own country, but to this country. I'm happy. I'm happy that black people are on the right side of history right now. That's what I'm happy about.
So black Americans' early opposition to Trump was grounded in historical memory rather than apathy, loyalty alone. So understand that having endured centuries of exclusion, broken promises, and racially coded politics, black communities tend to be highly attuned to warning signs of leadership that thrive on division and resentment. Trump's rhetoric about immigrants, protesters, the media, and political opponents mirrored patterns that seemed before where social anxiety is redirected towards marginalized groups to consolidate power. So many white Americans insulated by racial privilege initially interpreted Trump's language as harmless bravado or strategic disruption. Over time, the consequences of such rhetoric became harder to ignore, validating the concerns black Americans raised from the outset. So as Trump's presidency progressed, the focus shifted from rhetoric to results. White Americans who initially supported Trump for economic reasons, anti-establishment sentiment, or cultural grievance began to witness persistent governance failures, high turnover in key positions, policy incoherence, and public attacks on democratic institutions. Black Americans had long argued that a leader who disrespects norms and institutions will eventually weaken the entire system, not just marginalized groups. When government agencies, courts, elections, and public trust came under strain, it became evident to many that these warnings were not ideological, but fear-mongering, but sober assessment of risk. Also get to understand that another reason for this growing acknowledgement lies in how Trump exposed America's vulnerabilities rather than strengthening it. Black critics consistently argued that nationalism, which is embedded in exclusion, would isolate the country globally and deepen internal fractures. And over time, white Americans began to see how international credibility eroded, alliances were strained, and domestic unity were weakened. So events that tested national resilience revealed how fragile the institutions became when leadership prioritized personal loyalty and grievance over competence and stability. So for many, this realization marked a turning point, the understanding that Trump's leadership style was not merely unconventional, but actively destabilizing. So there's a cost of ignoring marginalized voices, and white Americans paid that dearly. So the admission that Black Americans were right also shows a broader lesson about whose voices are valued in political discourse. For decades, Black political analysis has been marginalized or dismissed unless validated by white institutions or commentators. So Trump's presidency became a case study in the cost of ignoring those voices. What Black community identified patterns of authoritarian behavior, racial scapegoating, and disregard for accountability were only widely acknowledged after tangible harm occurred. So this delayed recognition underscores how powerful dynamics shapes whose warnings are taken seriously and whose are ignored until crisis forces reconsideration. Right? So understand that for some white Americans, admitting that Black Americans were right is tied to a personal disillusionment. Many Trump supporters believe it will challenge elites, improve material conditions, or restore a sense of control. So when these expectations went unmet, or when policies favored entrenched interests while deepening social division, support eroded. So this disillusionment created space for reflection and, in some cases, humility. So recognizing that Black American skepticism was grounded in systemic understanding rather than hostility becomes part of a broader reckoning with how political loyalty can override critical thinking. And so ultimately, this moment presents an opportunity for more and honest, inclusive political conversations. Acknowledging that Black Americans were right about Trump is not about assigning moral victory, but about recognizing the values of perspectives shaped by historical experiences and structural awareness. And because this challenges the idea that political wisdom flows only from a dominant group and invites a rethinking of how leadership is evaluated. If it taken seriously, this acknowledgement could lead to a more mature democratic culture, one that listens earlier, learns faster, and understands that the health of a nation depends on heeding warnings from those who have long seen its cracks most clearly. So brothers and sisters, please, let me know what you think about this, right? I just want to know how you think and feel about this video. I'm your presenter and host, Ginger Stories. See you in my next video. But until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.